So the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to actually set the line weights after you've added your NCS pen tables. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you're in the layout tab that you wish to do this in. So we're in 2.4 details. And then you need to make sure that this drawing space here is activated. You can do that by simply just double clicking in it. I'm not sure if you can, absolutely tell if you're in. Let me just try double clicking out here. So yeah, if you're not inside of this drawing viewport, it's not bolded. And once you are inside the drawing viewport, once you have that activated, so I'm going to double click in here again, it becomes bolded and you begin to have some of these navigation controls available to you. Alright, so I'm just going to zoom into this because this is what we're going to focus on. And since this is a retaining wall detail, we really want that retaining wall edge line to be a little bit bolder than what it is now and maybe gray back some of these hatching patterns. So I'm going to go into my layers manager. And the column that I'm really interested in is this VP color column. And this is what I want to use to try to set my line weights using that NCS pen table thing that we just made. So I'm going to go and try to look for where I had saved a copy. Because if you notice, we have an NCS underscore pentable.dwg, and I've actually printed a copy of that. So I have a hard copy of this somewhere on my hard drive. I just need to locate it. Here it is. So this is kind of like the legend to help us determine which line weight we want to use. So right now, just looking at this first group of line weights over here, it looks like I probably want that line for Acrobat to respond here to maybe be a thickness of color 6. And this is kind of a trial and error thing. There is no one set way. So I'm going to set this as line color 6 because the plotted line, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have that kind of thickness. I do want it to be a little bit bolder. So line color 6. So over here I have my stem wall selected and I'm going to click on the VP color and I'm just going to type in 6 here and then click OK. And 6 should be magenta. So its old color was 140, and when I go back to my drawing space it should be 140, but just for plotting purposes where it says VP color, I want to focus on just this column only. This is where I'm going to change the color so that it can be plotted a certain way. So right now it's set to magenta, and over here we don't see that change. Sometimes it displays there, sometimes it doesn't. I think there is a button down here that you can push to try to get it to display. It doesn't always work. Don't know why. Maybe it's something they will fix in a future patch. Maybe over here there might be something to help us see the line weights. Here we go. There we go. So this button down here next to the checkerboard will help us to see the line weights. And like I said, this doesn't always work, so if it doesn't work for you, you just have to do a plot preview. So to do a plot preview, we just click on the application button, go to print, and do plot preview. And this will show you what will get plotted. So right now I'm going to hit exit since my line weights thing decided to work today. And for now I'm just going to leave it as that. I don't know if I'm actually going to keep that, if that's going to work for me, or if it's too overpowering in my drawing. But for now I'm going to keep that. One thing that is just really visually distracting are these hatch patterns. I really want those to go back, as far back as I can. So I'm probably going to pick something that's very gray. And I'm probably going to pick something that's a very thin line as well. So probably maybe this line 250, that's pretty gray and pretty thin line. Unless I find something thinner here. And I'm really not finding anything lighter or thinner than that. Maybe this color number 39. So let's just try 39. So I'm going to go into my layers list. And this is kind of a reason why we kind of put things on their own layer, so that we can go in here and we can easily do this. So if I recall, I said color 39. Type 39 in there and click OK. Whoa. And that comes out to be pretty bold. Maybe I typed in the wrong number here. Nope, that's supposed to be 39, and 39 did not come out what it shows here in the pen tables. So I'm probably going to pick a different color. Let me try 250. There we go. That's much, much, much more better. So that grays it all the way back, so that's not the first thing that I see. So my rebar lines, that's pretty important, so I'm probably going to want to pick another line color. Probably not gray. Maybe something that's black, but not too overpowering. So maybe color number 1 up there. Let's just try color 1 and see what we get. And that looks okay. And our pipe back there, maybe we'll do the same thing. We'll give it color number 1. And it may be that we may need to make that pipeline a little bit thicker. Maybe we're not going to be able to see that as well. So let's go look at our menu here. Let's try color 2. So it's a little bit more bolder than what it was before. So the lines that separate our hatch patterns, we're going to need to do that as well. So we have our gravel. So maybe we want that to be color 1 as well. And we have our pipe, which we already set, rebar already set. Our expansion joint, our rubber expansion joint, we probably want to set that to 1 as well. Stem wall's already set. Our subgrade line, let's make that a 1. Topsoil, let's make that a 1 too as well. Alright, so let's just do a plot preview here real quick. Can't always trust that preview that we see here, so we're going to use the plot preview to make sure that we are going to actually plot what we're going to get here and not spend a lot of money on plotting getting the wrong thing. So that looks pretty good. Maybe these materials here, that slime could be a little bit thicker. Maybe the topsoil line could be a little bit thicker. But that's coming out to look like a retaining wall detail. Let me make my topsoil line just a little bit thicker, and probably that pipe too, so that we can actually see the pipe. And maybe the rebar as well. Okay, so let me get out of that. Let's go look for our rebar. And on our rebar, what do we have on our rebar? Let's choose maybe line type 3. There we go. It makes it a little bit thicker there in the background so we can actually see it. And maybe our pipe will do the same thing. We'll make it line type 3. There, see, it stands out a little bit more. And then maybe my topsoil. And one thing that I might end up doing is maybe just drawing another line up here at the top to indicate kind of like the edge here. Maybe a thin line that goes across the top and then give it a little bit thicker line weight. Let's just try making the topsoil line a little bit thicker. Maybe we'll give it a line weight of 2. See how that comes out to be. So I'll just go up here again to print. And I'm going to just do a plot preview. I'm not actually going to plot this until I know I got this the way that I want it to be. I'm liking the line of my pipe and my rebar. That looks pretty good. And maybe what I might end up doing is just creating another line that comes across the top here. Another line comes across the top there to indicate that that's just kind of the edge. So in order to do that, let me get out of this. And I'm going to go back to my model space. I'm going to create a new layer here. And maybe I'll just call this, and rename this. Let's call this surface edge. So this is mostly an aesthetic thing. This is not really something that they're actually going to build. This is just to help us to visually see. So it's kind of like a reference line, but it's more visual. So I'm just going to draw one that goes from there to there. Oops, I ended up clicking the arc tool instead. That isn't what I want. I want the polyline tool. And you want to make sure that that line's on top. If it's not, all you have to do is just select it and make sure that you're on the line. Right click and then go to display order and choose bring to the front, because you want that to draw on the front. Right, I'm going to do the same thing over here. Right now it has the same color as my stem wall line. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to here and I can see that blue line, so I really need to change that. And I want it to be a little bit thicker, so maybe I'll choose a line weight of 3 here. Okay. So I'm going to go to my print preview again. Remember, we can't always trust the drawing space, the paper space preview. See, that line's a little bit thicker, kind of indicates that that's the top edge of all of this fill that we have going on here. Maybe it could be a little bit more thicker to stand out a little bit more. Let's try that. Let's just make it a 4, just, to see what this is going to come out to look like. This is all trial and error, lots of previewing before plotting. So that looks pretty good, so I'll probably just stick with a 4 for that. So if we just zoom out a little bit, we can easily tell from looking at this detail that this is a retaining wall detail, and we can tell that because the first thing you see is the retaining wall, the rebar that's going on inside of it. That's kind of an important thing. And then we see the pipe and maybe the edge of the surface. We can begin to see that this is an edge here. And maybe I might need to make that line just a little bit thicker so it stands out. Or I make this line here thinner so it doesn't compete with that top line. So let's just try that as an experiment. So let's see, surface edge. Let's try a line weight of 5. There, it's starting to look a little bit thicker visually. So I'm going to go back to my print preview. Zoom in here. Yeah, that's starting to read a lot better. We can see that that's the edge of all of these stacked layers of soil. And we can tell this is not the edge of the stacked layers of materials here, because this line is bolder than this line. This is just kind of like a section cut. So having this top edge here being bold kind of helps communicate that. So that's all I wanted to show you about how to set your line weights using a different pen table. All we pretty much did was just added our pen table, and then we went in here. We made sure that the viewport that we wanted to apply these line types to was activated by double clicking in it, and then we just use this VP color column and our little cheat sheet over here to determine what line weights we want it to be, and it's just trial and error, and we just did lots of print previewing. And then I push this button over here called Show Hide Line Weights. It doesn't always work, so you have to be careful. Always do a print preview to make sure that what we're experimenting with, what we're trying out here, is actually what we want. So that's all there is to this.